Artosis welcomes you to the exciting world of StarCraft. Text-to-speech is not permitted during these matches. Subscriptions are available below the stream. Thanks for helping us to keep the chat a nice place to stay. Thank you for coming to Artosis's stream. Sit back and relax. Enjoy the show.
Hey guys, welcome back to Ascension. It is day number 3 and group number 3 that we're going to be playing here tonight. I'm very excited about this one. I think this is a really great group as well. You know, the first two groups, like, I did think group number 1 with Zeke in it would be a bit one-sided. I thought that it would be mostly Zeke wins and then, like, a map peeled by Jayun or Terror. I was a bit wrong in that. And group 2, I thought that we were going to see like a good back and forth between Gypsy and Bonnet, and I did think Gypsy would end up taking that overall, but it was pretty decisive. It was pretty one-sided at the end of the day, even though we had actually quite a few good games in group number 2. Now, group number 3, let's take a look at it. Dewalt, Hawk, and Nyoken. 8 games. We're going to start off with Hawk versus Nyoken. The winner stays, of course. We'll take a quick look at those rules. King of the Hill winner stays. The challenger chooses the map. Overall map score is all that matters. It doesn't matter how many losses you have. And if we're tied at the end, we will play a tiebreaker. So that is what we have. It's going to be fantastic. Hope that you're going to enjoy. And let's just get right into game number 1. All right, on Vermeer, starting off here in the top right corner, we have none other than my favorite StarCraft player. It's Nyoken. And in the bottom left, the best Zerg from North America, it's Hawk. Yeah, so just to go over these guys a little bit. First off, you know, I mentioned before, I think this Ascension tournament is really good, right? We had that ladder phase. And we got, in what is, in my opinion, completely my opinion, the top 2 of each race in the foreign scene, 100%, right? We got Gypsy and Terror, we got Zeke and Hawk, and we got Dewalt and Bonnet. And in my opinion, those are number 1 and number 2 for their races within the foreign scene. I've thought that for quite a while, I guess. I've been saying this about Hawk. I think he's really, really strong. I think he's incredibly underrated. Honestly, if you watch a lot of his BSL matches, he has been so close, and in Corrupted Cup as well. You know, that was a while ago, but even back then, like, we have seen Hawk so close to defeating players like Bonnet and Dewalt, but hasn't quite done it yet. You know, I think he eventually will. I actually think he understands the game better than most players in the scene. One of the smartest players, in my opinion. I can say the same about this guy in the top right, Nyoken. A big thanks to Nyoken, by the way. We had a lot of dropouts for the Team Terran, that 3rd place Terran spot. And Nyoken really stepped in at the last second despite being inactive at the time, but promised me that he would practice and get himself back into shape very quickly for it. So big cheers to him. Of course, Nyoken, an old friend of mine, one of the OG StarCraft 1 players from North America. Yeah, fantastic guy. Great caster and everything as well. So this match between these two, like, I think it is Hawk favored, but you can't actually count Nyoken out because I think he stays so calm, cool, and collected. It's like, I mean, here's the thing. He's an American Terran player, so he has a lot in common with me, but at the same time, I feel like he is not someone that really rattles. Like, he's going to put out games near the top of his skill level, very regularly. I don't think he's really going to tilt or anything like that. And yeah, let's see what he has prepared for this. I imagine that what he's prepared is going to be very SK Terran focused. That's something that's very easy to kind of practice. Nyoken is a big fan of practicing in single player, similar to Mini. And that's something that you can really do to high levels. By the way, this is so Nyoken right here. The SCV is literally just sitting there. This is what he wants to see, and he's not moving it around. Every other Terran in the whole world is like clicky, click, 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 and his is just sitting. And it's not that he doesn't have the speed. He's over 300 APM, and he just leaves it sitting. There's something deeply funny about that. You have to trust me. If you don't think it's funny, it's... I don't know what to tell you. That is amazing, though. Anyways, it looks like... Okay, he's going one extra depot. This might be a quick engineering bay. That's a possibility. It could be the quick academy as well. We'll see it in a moment here. And yeah, I guess this is a weird build from Nyoken, honestly. Like, he's going non-stop Marines here, but I thought he would have had his academy by now or his eBay by now. So it actually is going to be a factory. Okay, this makes a bit more sense. One thing that I definitely know, well, Nyoken is one of the people that I talk to about Brood War the most. And one of the things that he really hates is dealing with Mutalisk harassment. It's so hard to do, right? So Nyoken, even before the Valkyrie builds became popular, like actually well before any of the Valkyrie builds became popular, Nyoken already was doing Valkyrie builds with stunning regularity on the ladder. He really likes to do them, just punish the mutas immediately, don't screw around with that. And he has his own builds that he does with them as well. And as you can see here, like this is a very solid build. It's non-stop Marines, he's got his bunker up, he's got a very healthy, good count. Here overall, like look, 6 Marines already, still producing. He's getting his academy in time to scan what's going on, and his Valkyrie won't be out when the first Muta gets there, but not that far afterwards. So really cool to see him kind of bring his own style back here against Hawk, who, by the way, is going to take a third base very, very close to his natural. So that's going to be a little bit easier for him to defend. And since it's cross map, it's going to be a lot harder for Nyoken to attack as well. Of course, Hawk and Nyoken have played plenty of times, so he might actually be thinking that Nyoken is going for something like what he's doing right now. As you can see over at Nyoken's base, he is getting that armory, he is getting that starport, and there's his engineering bay, just in the nick of time to get his turrets up, I think. Like, just literally in the nick of time there. Adding his second barracks as well. And yeah, it's an older type of Valkyrie build. This is actually very similar to one Scan showed me a while ago. But it's gonna do the trick. I don't think Hawk is gonna really get damage done. Now, one thing I need to mention about Hawk, look at this. He's making 1 Mutalisk. He's droning still. And he's making literally 1 Mutalisk while getting +1 attack. So he's very slow on the Mutalisk production. Like, obviously, Nyoken can't know perfectly when the mutas are going to come. Like, it matters exactly when he scans. I think he has a reasonable idea. He is starting to make some turrets. That first muta is going to fly across. And I do wonder, when he sees what this is, if he'll stay on the mutas. Well, he does start another 5. So he is getting into those mutas, but very, very late. His third base is up, and he's droning it super, super fast at the moment. Of course, Nyoken here not doing any sort of academy rush. No early push out. No opportunity to abuse the fact that the Mutalisks are coming out this late, right? This is a good 30 seconds after you normally get these Mutalisks, which in StarCraft makes a huge, huge difference, right? So this first one flying in, trying to get some intel. He hasn't seen the Valkyries yet, so you don't know for sure. Could just be a +1 build for all you know. Flies up, sees that actually start. Still zoning him out very, very well here. The first Valkyrie goes over to the bunker. Notice Hawk's drone count. He's already up at 30 against 36. That's very, very, very fast. So he is actually droning up. Like, this is one of the quickest drone ups I've ever seen, honestly. But he's going to have to go into pure units from here because Nyoken's going to go out. And when he has 2 Valkyries plus like 20 Marines and a couple medics, That's going to be really scary. Now, Stim is just finishing, so he's a little bit late on the range, which is going to make it a bit harder as well to push across the map. But definitely you need to take this very seriously as Hawk. He's still droning. Oh, my God. Really, really serious about getting that economy as big as is possible. That's fascinating to me, to see Hawk take this type of idea to run with the drones so quickly. But now he has 11 mutas. He has some Scourge as well. And one thing I can tell you, he is very good against Valkyries. He's got those Scourge for the flank. All right, moving the Mutalisks over to the side. Zoom out a little bit here. Okay, backs up. He doesn't have good vision of exactly where Nyoken's at. Nyoken kind of looking for him with these Valkyries. We'll see if he can nail that Valkyrie micro. Third Valkyrie is on the way. Now, the Lurker upgrade is almost done. So we should see some Hydras start up. And when those Lurkers are actually done and burrowed at these sunken colonies, it's going to be almost impossible for Nyoken to break him, right? Which is going to make the value of these Valkyries like a lot lower. Nyoken's actual attack timing is like exactly right now. This is the moment where he can get across the map, have range done, and have 3 Valkyries before Lurkers are ready. So this is a real opportunity. Nice volley there onto the Scourge. Gets a little bit of damage on him. That may end up saving his life here. But it looks like I think the Lurkers are going to finish just in time here for Hawk. All right, the Valkyries, the Marines in position. Ooh, very quick reaction there from Nyoken. Hawk trying to get some free kills. Nyoken not allowing it. Only a single, like, you can break this still, I think. A single Lurker. No, now that the second's out, that's done. You're not breaking that anymore. Some good micro, though, from Nyoken, right? He's doing a good job with his Valkyries. Does a supply block there. By the way, Hydralist speed on the way. So this is actually, I'm really glad to see Hawk is doing this. I think he's incredibly good at the Hydra Lurker Defiler strategy, which is incredibly strong right now. And I'm interested to see if Nyoken's going to know what to do against it. He's actually gone into mines. Oh my God, he's doing a mech switch. He is doing a mech switch, which is probably the best thing you can do against this, honestly. Oh, this is so cool to see Nyoken play like this. Well, it's actually come back into his style quite a bit. And look at that. Oh, no. Okay, so the Mutas took a big beating there, but it looks like the 3 Valkyries died. So that is a little bit problematic for Nyoken. We'll see if he adds another one. It looks like he's going Irradiate at this point. But these damaged Mutas, they have to be really careful right now. But look, he's taking another base, a 3rd main, as well as taking well, this is technically his 3rd base, and then his 4th base is in a main. So Nyoken utilizing his map control at the moment. Hawk, when he comes out, it's going to be a very strong army. We actually don't have the Hive tech, though. So what I was talking about, the Hydra Lurker Defiler, he is very good against that. I've lost to him doing that many, many times. But he's actually going Hydra Lurker right now. He has this little group of Mutas out, and this is harassing him a fair amount here. That is really, really annoying. It actually gets Hawk very close as far as that worker count goes. Slows down that economy of Nyoken quite a bit. So really annoying, but just the fact that Hawk is actually just going Hydra Lurker, this is kind of surprising, I have to say. Although, to be fair, I played Hawk in a show match very recently, and in one of the games, he did utilize this strategy. So it is something that he knows how to do and that he does do from time to time. Like, he's going to field a lot of Hydra Lurker. You can see already his supply is actually above Nyoken's, but the reason for that is because Nyoken is in the middle of a tech switch. You can see his factory count isn't that high yet, and the way that Hawk is playing, this is actually, like, kind of Protoss-esque, right? Like, this is a big bludgeon down your front door type thing, and Nyoken's on, like, 3 factories, so he doesn't actually have the right army to deal with it yet. This is going to have to get lifted, and Nyoken's going to have to just go 3-fact tank like he is right now, right? Hawk doesn't know about this base, I believe. So that should save him some time. Also, Nyoken coming out, forcing a little bit of a burrow, picking off a few units here and there. But yeah, I think if Hawk pushes into here, that is not going to be something Nyoken can hold on to. There are some mines in here, so tragedy could befall this army if he doesn't utilize it correctly. Comes up, he's going to kill that barracks right away, which is actually highly annoying. No, I guess he's still got one floating over there, so he's fine. As long as you can still build your factories on time. That's one thing that's very important for Nyoken here. Now, He does get rid of the eBay. The command center is taking a lot of damage right now. Nyoken gonna push back those Hydras. Ooh, bleeding the Marines in a little bit there. We do have a Radiate. Might be good to use on those mutas, which, by the way, have healed up quite a bit. Kind of impressive. The siege tank's trying to move into a decent position here. And he's going to just try to push and take this back. Now, let's take a look at Hawk Space. He is going towards Hive. He hasn't figured out, I think, that it's actually mech yet. Because right now you still... Well, you see some vultures. So maybe he does know. Maybe he does know. It'll be interesting to see if when we... Well, I guess as these come in and you kill off the last of the Marines, now you're really going to know. Nyoken going to pull back with his mech army here as those mutas were harassing. Now, will Hawk go for just kind of this same unit composition going forward? Will he go for something like Queens with Broodling? That's certainly something that you can utilize against mech, especially if mech has a slow start like Nyoken has here. Like, this has been a very, very slow start for him. You know, this base has had to lift up twice. His factories are not super, super fast because of that as well, but he is starting to add them now. Nyoken with a few Goliaths out. That'll be able to help push everything back as well. And we see the Flyer Carapace. So right now, Hawk is preparing. First off, triple Evo, by the way. He is getting melee attack. But he's preparing for a late-game Mutalist switch. Like, if there's a situation where he's killed off some Science Vessels or something, we'll probably see him switch into that when it's very heavy, like Tank Vulture. Moves like that sometimes can just win the game against mech. Now, Nyoken coming over. He has the vessels, so he can go ahead and detect this, push these lurkers out. He's got a good amount of factories. Not full saturation here, but he's getting the gas, which is probably the most important part. And look at that. Energy for Queens. So we are going to see mass Queens at this point. 6 Queens on the way. That is going to be a little bit problematic here for Nyoken. Right? He's playing against Hydra Lurker for the most part, so he definitely wants a lot of siege tanks, which is what the Queens are going to be there to counter. Supplies, pretty even. Nyoken with a ludicrous amount of SCVs. 71 workers right now, so his economy looking really, really strong. Hawk moving up the map. You can see less lurkers being added in at this point. I think, in fact, these are just leftover lurkers from before. Definitely lurkers knock... Like, with Dark Swarm, they're very good against mech because they can't be hit. But against just mech, if you don't have, like, defilers in your army, they're pretty worthless. They get countered really hard by mines. They get countered hard by siege tanks, science vessels, whatever it is, right? Even Goliaths do fine against lurkers, unless they're in, like, some sort of mass number. This little fly-in here brings his Scourge along. Nyoken gonna run his vessels around, trying to make sure he does not go ahead and even stims those 2 Marines in the bunker. Just trying to not lose vessels right now. So the fact that he went hunting for vessels, if I'm Nyoken, I'm definitely... Oh, no. Oh, my God. That is so frustrating. But right now, Nyoken should be thinking, like, okay, is he trying to go Muta? Is he trying to go Queen? Because those would be reasons why you're trying to hunt down vessels, right? The vessels specifically, like, that's the one thing that might be able to counter those units. Whereas, you know, the regular mech army, you notice, like, yeah, he throws out a few Goliaths here. That might be a little bit anti-Scourge, but also just a nod towards the fact it's probably flying units coming. That's why you're hunting the vessels so hard. Because honestly, Hydra Lurker itself, or Mass Hydra itself, doesn't care about that as much. Now, Nyoken taking another map. Is he going to just go split map here? This is something Nyoken used to do against Zerg with mech. Like years ago when Circuit Breakers was still a map, I remember him going pretty heavily into just like tanks kind of cutting the map, and then even getting like a group of Wraiths or a group of Valkyries to help deal with things like Queens and Mutas. I don't know if he's going to go for something like that, but he could, especially if he doesn't feel like he can attack. That's obviously going to be a better play. Like if you don't think you can attack across the map, don't attack across the map. It's, you know, you're just going to lose at that point. So some Vultures coming out. Going to remove some of these Hydras. Hawk taking an additional base. He's only been on 4 bases this whole time. Don't forget, Nyoken's had this base for a while. He's actually starting to wall it in and give it some real defense at this point. The first 2 siege tanks are going to be popping out here shortly. as the Hydras try to come up the ramp. Ooh, the mine actually connects. Kind of surprisingly, they are going to run some mines forward. And he does go ahead and siege. So he's going to be able to keep those Hydras out for now. That has to be a bit frustrating for Hawk, because honestly, Nyoken has a better economy and has for a little bit now. The Queens are on the move. Oh my god. This is crazy. 11 Queens there. It's all about hitting those Broodlings. The Queen costs less than a siege tank. So as soon as you hit a Broodling with it, it's paid for itself. And then 3 minutes later, you can cast another Broodling. So it does take a while for it to actually gain value for you. But, you know, siege tanks are very hard to replace for Terran. You know, unfortunately for Hawk, Nyoken has such a large economy here. He's really a very good mech player against Zerg, as you could see. But he's got a gigantic economy. He's really set up nicely. Look at this, a drop coming in as Nyoken started to move out to the south there. Looks like a mine detonates on his Marines as they pop out of the bunker, unfortunately. And, well, there are a good amount of siege tanks, but up come the Queens. So it looks like this base is very likely to go down. Couple Broodling attacks go out. The Broodling, by the way, the only unit with shorter attack range than an SCV. So the Broodlings go off onto those siege tanks. Nyoken going to be losing this base. It does look like some Vultures coming over. Just basically everything Nyoken has seems to be kind of headed in this direction. I don't think this is going to work out for him, though. I think it was just a little bit too bumpy in the early game when he had to lift this base twice, right? He didn't get into the mass macro of mech that he really, really wanted at that point. And you can see that this is a very tough position, right? All these Queens are just going to start Broodlinging these tanks. And, like, this is generally just a losing position for Terran. Definitely not one that I would want to play from. And that's going to be it. GG is called. And Hawk wins game number 1.